Okay, now this recording, we are going to talk about how to draw a sneaker. And I'm not a shoe designer, so, but still, we have this reference image here, and you can pick whatever shoes, sneakers you like, and try to take a minute to critically thinking about what it is you are going to draw and understand the mechanics of how something works. Whatever you're drawing, actually, it will work. You just try to understand that objects. You can either use grid, spine, just imagine if you want to draw like how you're going to get it started. In this case, we are going to use a grid. Because I already explained in another video, because the different objects, usually we have a different approach. So in this case, we keep it short. We are going to use a grid. For the reference image I picked this one, and so first of all, let's take a look. For this one, it's basically we are going to construct it like a 4.5 by 3. So the 3 grid here. The taller, how tall, how high this shoes is, it's going up to almost the 2.5 grid. So, and also on the top, the shoes top view, another side view, and the other on the top plane is kind of narrow, it's coming in a little. So keep this in mind, and now we are going to start draw shoes. So for quickly, I just want to explain how we draw shoes, and still we want to construct a grid. Let's imagine this is a grid we are going to construct, and the first step. Imagine we already draw the grid. I will explain how to draw the grid. I already explained in another videos. And if this is gonna be the sole, what it looks like, I just want to explain how we're gonna take that approach. And we'll always kind of define the bottoms outline the sole first. And for the sole itself, it's not just sitting on the ground. It's bent over, coming up, like almost reach the first grid. It's also coming up a little in the back, and also there will be somewhere between the middle of the 4th grid. In the middle of the 4th grid, right now I'm just estimates. I'm just explain the whole approach, how we're gonna do this. The 4th grid, in the middle of the 4th grid will be the highest point. So the highest point, we define the highest point. And then somewhere behind this, somewhere, do you see the plane? The sole, outline of the sole is here. So, and also for the shoes, it's always coming in. The plane will coming in, tape in a little. So it will be lower. So we also need to define these 2 points. One is on this side, another on the another side we cannot see. So we need to define these 2 points. So I try to explain the whole sequence. How we're gonna step by step draw this first. So I doubt it ever. It's very hard to tell. We are defining this 2 grid. We already defined this one. We defined this 2 point, and also we needed to define this point. So that's basically the rule how we're going to do that. And for this 2, and still the highest point will be here. So the method is you use this highest points to draw another kind of reference line, and it's converging to the back. So for this point, choose lowest point, and if it's the same height, if it's as higher as this one, as higher as this point, and then it will be somewhere here. But actually, in reality, it will be much lower, maybe somewhere here, and then you draw the cross section. Does that make sense? So I just tried to explain the most confusing part first, and then that is the two lowest part of this opening. And then later I was starting drawing. We will draw this together, don't worry about it. And also this is the lowest point. If you want to draw a reference line, this is fine. And then if it's 2-point perspective, I already explained how we draw those vertical lines, keep it straight. And then if it's as higher as this point, the highest point, it will be here. But actually it will be lower than this one. And then for the back of the opening, it will be somewhere here. Does it make sense? So we get the highest point, we get the lowest point. So usually a shoe's opening will be something like this. And of course, in this case, the opening is a little different because it's coming forward and then coming down, coming up. But that is small detail, we could always adjust later. But I'm trying to explain that's how we approach to draw shoes. And also for the soles, the bottom is bending up. So though we already have this project, this kind of shadow outline on this plane we structured, but if you want to bring it up to understand how those soles works, so that is how, maybe not that much, but that's how we're going to approach this. So once you connect this middle point and this line, you can almost feel the shoes is there. The shoe is there. So, but this is just a central line. This is a central line. The shoes, we only have this central line. We only have this opening. We have this steel, this top surface. So basically, you imagine that you can see. Can we see a little here? So maybe in this case, we can see a little image here. Once you're connecting all of them, and you can almost see that's the shoe from the plane, from this kind of perspective. And also, let's do another one from the back. Don't worry about the grid. We are going to do the grid later. But now let's explain how to construct, how to step by step. Let's make that clear. Otherwise, kind of feel if there's too much line, we kind of just lost. We don't know what we're doing. So I just want to try to explain what we are going to do first. Do you notice I kind of change the angle? This is the front. I change the orientation, and let's draw something from the back. Let's draw something from the back. Now I'm just estimate. This is a footing, and this is the back. This is the side, and this is the front. And now I'm just estimate. Like I said, I'm just trying to explain how we usually construct shoes to estimate. This is the highest point and how you will reach the top. So we will explain how to draw this map later. Now I want to get the whole structure to explain how we're going to explain how to define this first, the step by step, how we're going to do this first. So still we need to find the highest point. It will be somewhere here. Then it goes to the same. We find the highest point and also find another line converging back If you want to draw a central plane, you are welcome to do so. So this is the highest point of the shoes, and it's also help us define a central plane. And then for the lowest part, of the shoes, let's grow a plane here, But how tall? If this point is at higher, the same height as this one, and then where it will be somewhere here, right? Because we have this central plane, we will understand this point, and it will be somewhere here. But actually, it will be lower, much lower. I would say much lower. It will be much lower than this point. So we drop this point to all the way here, and then we find these 2 points. And also in the back, for the back point, exact back point actually it's here. It's here. The back point, if it's the same height as this one, and it's supposed to be here, but it's lower, then drop it, maybe here. So don't get me wrong, I want to mark that lowest point because that 2 points is close to each other. You always need to remember which one you are looking at. That 2 points need a converging with those lines, converging to that direction. And this 2 point, if it's the same height, the back, it will be here, but now it's dropped here. And that 2 red dot is a sign, is that 2 lowest point on the side. And this is the back. I just don't want to make any mistakes, so I use a different color. And although it's still kind of lower than, okay, this is the back. This is front. I almost made a mistake. Okay, now we do need a little imagination. And if this is the opening in the front, and why is this line going that way? Because in the front, this line need a converging with all those lines. So in this case, even converging to that direction. So this opening line need to go that way, and then it will coming back connected to this line. And since this 2 line kind of further, this 2 points further away, so it will be more flat. And also, it probably will be a little go flat. First, go to this direction first, and then curving down. And for this one, also, it's coming down, curving back. Why is that a curve? Because the 2 points, this point in the back and this point, they're close to each other. When we explain that the chairs go to the same reason. In reality, the distance between the back point to both sides need to be the same. But since we put it in the perspective, so there's a long distance between here. So the lines need to go further away. It's kind of more flat. But here it's all distorted or condensed. So you will find a curve here, curving back. And so sometimes it kind of looks more flat. Sometimes it will look curvy. It's because we already put it in the space. So from the back, it probably was something like this. I would say this one will be curving much more than we current. So we can always adjust them. And then you also go, same thing go to the sole, the front of the sole. You need to make it coming up a little. So we have this plane, but this plane need it coming up. So if you look from the top, you probably want to see something like this. This is the central line, and but we also need to close this space. So this is the central line. Another line is on the left corner. On that left corner, we cannot see, we only can see a little. So it probably will be something like this, like this. So that's basically how we structure structure a sneaker. Structure a sneaker. So I would highly recommend, you know, whatever you are drawing, always it will be nice to having a side view first to understand the basic geometry of a form, and then it probably will be help us understand how to understand the mechanics of how those things works, how it constructed, and then it probably would help us have a nice drawing. So I always recommend to understand the side view. So shoes always a little different, and if there's a foot, and basically because our foot is kind of something looks like something like that. It has the plane keep changing, the front plane, and then we have this arc coming up, coming down, and something like this. And also, if we want to draw a shoes, you were running something, and then the side view probably will become something like this. So, and it's also always have a little flexibility, you know, when you draw this. It's kind of flexible, and the side view is not that hard. You can imagine this is the lowest part, this is the highest part. So the highest part is come all the way to the front. So you understand how it works if you want to draw a 3-point perspective from the bottom, or if you want to draw shoes, it's bended, it's kind of to mimic what people is walking or running. That is what you're gonna do. And also it will be always nice to include a footing, how it looks like. In this case, we already learned it's almost a 2 by 5.5 grid. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5.5, 2 and 5.5, that grid. And when we look at the picture I give to you, and we can define, so that's how we understand. We are going to draw this one very soon. So the lowest part will be between the fourth grid. The narrowest part will be between the fourth grid. So in the middle of the fourth grid, and at the end of the second grid, it kind of reaches this corner, reaches this edge, and then going up, then open up a little, and coming down again. So that is the outline of the sole of this shoe. Like I said, every shoe is slightly different. You just have to spend a minute to think about it. So that is how we understand this structure. But once you understand that, and also how we're going to do step by step how to draw these shoes. And once you understand the basic structures, the side views, the outlines, the proportions, now we can start working on that. First thing, we need to construct a grid. Right? So, okay. We are going to talk about the page layout. Since this one, there's no specific rule, but we do have some tricks to talk about the page layout. The orientation I picked here is goes that one, it goes that direction, and this one is kind of slightly adjusted. I didn't make it completely parallel. This one is goes that direction, and also even this is a look from the back. I also changed the plane, changed the angle, rotated the angle a little, so it's rotated to that direction. So you won't see completely two parallel, one is from front, one is facing the back, you know, just the reverse at the angle. So that's basically tricks. When you, whatever you're starting drawing a plane, always keep this in mind to rotate it a little. So it just make it nice. So I'm just saying the orientation I picked here is slightly different. So it's completely the kind of different direction. One is facing front, one is facing back, but still, we also need to change the rotated the plane a little. So that is a side view. Since we already, the reason I mentioned this, because since I already create a perspective facing this side. So I just wanted to explain. Now I want to draw a shoes. This time, this one is the front. So I just want to make sure this two on the top was facing a different direction. Otherwise, you will see a side view here, another exactly like it's a bigger front view, front quarter view on this side. I just feel like it's the final page layout won't be great. So try to explain why. Sometimes I don't think too much, but maybe just probably this is part of my habits to always kind of keep changing the orientation. And we already talked about how to make a grid. So this will be the center line of the front. This will be a center line. And then now we're starting to construct a 2x5.5, right? This is the first grid. And we already talked about how to find the center line for this one, and then center line for this one. Okay, let's find the second grid here. It will be reached this point and make sure all those lines are converging at the same pace. Don't converge too much, but same. Okay, so this is the third. I'm not gonna repeat it how to construct a grid. Let's keep it simple here. Okay. It's supposed to be shorter and shorter. So since this is left, so for this one, let's draw the bottom part. The bottom part we already learned here. We already learned here. This is the side. We reach this point right after the second grid and go all the way to the front. The front, that is basically how the front goes. It's go all the way here. And the narrowest in the middle of the fourth grid, that is how the shoes coming in, the narrowest part. And then we just imaginably connecting them together, and then it needed coming out a little. And always remember, because this part is close to you, and when you're coming out more. And this is further away, so we're just only slightly kind of moving up a little. And also, when you draw the back, like I keep saying, when it's close to you, it's curved more. When it's further away, it's more flat. And I keep using, if you cannot remember, just try to draw ellipse. Draw ellipse. It's almost the same direction. Then you can tell when it's close to us, it's more curvy. When it's further away, it's more flat. So that's why it's more curvy here, it's more flat here. Maybe it doesn't matter. I'm just trying to explain. Maybe it doesn't matter in this case. So this is the lowest part. This is the lowest part in the shoe, and also lowest part. Oh, okay. Is this the actually lowest part is here, between the fourth grid and the fifth grid, and this is the narrowest part. the narrowest part need to be between the third line. Okay, I made a little mistake. Let's adjust a little. Adjust. This is the narrowest part. But that part we don't need this information, but since we are tend to be accurate here, I'm just adjust a little, and it need to be coming up here. All right. The highest point will be in the fourth grid. In the fourth grid, in the middle of the fourth grid, then this will be the highest part. Yes, yes. This will be the highest part. It will definitely rest on the center line if you draw a straight line to find out how higher it is. It definitely will be somewhere here, the highest part. The highest part, because this is after the fourth box, between the fourth and fifth, this is the highest part. Is it? So, yeah, it is. In the middle of the fourth grid. In the middle of the fourth grid, this is the highest point. So let's define how high it could go. We already know the highest it will be 2.5, 2.5, 2.5. So this is one grid. This is one grid. Because we put in the perspective, we cannot use this grid, the length of this grid, we cannot use this one. We find some reference line close to, you know, where we're going to measure. It will be the height here, one grid, two grid. Possibly this will be the highest point. Again, I already explained here, when we draw the highest points, the opening, they have a little flat on the top, so you cannot see, but they have some flat, and this line is converging to everything else. So on the top, the highest part, you're converging a little to that direction. You're converging a little to that, but that is the highest point. And then the lowest point is behind the fourth grid, is between 4 and 5, and that thing, it will be somewhere here. And for this plane, we're rising up. I already explained when we draw this one, we find the, if we are going to find a middle plane, if we're going to find the middle plane, for this one, if the shoes for both sides, if it's gonna be exactly the same height as the highest point, and then it will be somewhere here. But it need to be much lower. It's even lower than the second grid. So lower than this one. So if the lowest point in the middle, it would definitely on that line. But it's not the middle. We draw another line, reference line. Then we find that once we have this cross-section, intersection here, then we got the 2 points. So I'm still gonna use those red dots to mark it as the lowest point. The lowest point will be somewhere here. Okay, I made a mistake again. I forgot to let it come in a little. Actually, it needed coming in a little. So my bad. It need to be somewhere here. But you just remember that you will be around this area. And then we find the back. The back is not only for this shoes, the back, the lower, the back, this point, actually it's coming in a lot. It's coming in a lot. Almost coming in one grid in, almost one grid in. So this is the back, and then it need coming in a lot, the central line. And if it's the same height as this one, so according to this central plane, it will rest here. But it need to be lower than this one, and also higher than this plane, so it probably between these two planes, so it probably will be somewhere here. So now we got a 4 point. We got a 4 point. Highest one, two lowest one, and the back. My bad about that too, because I forgot to let it come in. So then we need a connecting them, imaginably connecting this lowest part, connecting this lowest part. And also for the front, in this case, usually it's kind of just like you come in, we get this opening, But in this case, it's slightly different. For the shoes we are drawing, it's coming to the front a little, Did you notice the central point to this one? It's kind of wider, much wider than central point to this one, because of perspective. We exaggerate it a little. So that's how we connected them. We still need to imagine, but that's how we connected them. And though we cannot see it, we still try to understand those lines. Like I said, it's near curvy a little. It's close to you, it's curvy a little, and it's further away, more flat. So that's how we do the opening. And then from the sole itself, at the bottom of the sole, it's need to be coming up a little. And also for this part, it's actually need to come in almost one grid up. One grid up. Where's the first grid? Okay. If we still use the center point, it's almost there. And so it's rising up, starting rising up right before the second grid. It's starting right before the second grid. So that's how you connect them. And also imaginably, that another line will be somewhere here. That's actually the sole. What it looks like from the plane we choose, from the angle we choose. And then we just need to draw this central line. It's kind of more flat, and after we finish the second grid, and it's going right up. So you do need a little imagination. It's go more deep, and then it's kind of go right up. Go that direction. Go that direction. You can always use your eyeball, kind of just visually imagine that's the direction you want to go. But this is just a central line. Still, you can see a little space over the central line. Because the perspective we pick, you still can see that. So that's how we get the central line. And if you want to draw a little thickness here, and then you got to start use. Once you have it structured, then you got the chance to draw all those the soles, all those details. Then probably I would highly recommend you just look at the image, because you follow all those guidelines you already constructed. It should be okay. It should be okay. So the rest of the drawing, it should be simple. So basically that's how we structure a sole. So if you want the bottom volume of the sole, just need all those details, and create some values here. And then you go to all the details. It seems to have some detail here. Then whatever you draw here, you always follow the, imagine there's a curved surface. You always follow those curved surface to go to the different direction ones. There's a lot of details I'm not planning. I'm not planning to finish them all. But basically, that's how we structure the shoes. And I also want to challenge everybody how to do a 3 points from the back, from the bottom up. From the bottom up. We are very comfortable to structure a reference box, something like this, from the top. From the top down, so we see the top plane, all those lines converging to the upper corner, either upper left corner or upper right corner. So that's how we draw something. If we draw a shoe, sneaker, we want to see the top surface, what it looks like, and we would choose some angle, we can see the top plane. And it's just there's a different way. If you want to see the side view more, then you probably just draw a top plane, something like this, right? When you choose, if you want to see the side view more, and then the top plane need to be squeezed, so you see less top plane. This one is kind of almost from the top, almost area view. And but this is different. It's more, the eye level is much lower. So for this one, eye level is much lower. Eye level is much lower. And if you want to still lower your eye level, and maybe eventually you have some eventually you would draw the shoes, the bottom line. If the bottom, that a box, the plane is something like this, then when you draw the top, you almost cannot see the top, this top plane. You cannot see much detail from that side. We're still sure we can see those top surface, but I'm just saying this one is even much lower than this perspective. That is all from the top. If we want to draw, because sneaker, if you want to see something from the bottom, how you going to construct them, then it's just a slight different. It's a different story. If you want to see something from the bottom, then you need it converging to the bottom. So that's why I'm trying to explain. So we need to get a structure right. This is all converging to the upper corner. Now, need a converging to somewhere here, lower. So that's the basic rule. If you want to see the bottom, and also, I would always recommend, if you want to draw something, draw a shoes from the bottom up, I would highly recommend to use some kind of a perspective, which means 3-point perspective. So for this, it's all 2-point perspective. Why? It's go straight down, Only those lines converging. Those lines are always parallel to each other. These are parallel to each other. And for this, in this case, if you draw from the bottom up, so always it will be nice to have a 3-point perspective. 3-point perspective. And then you kind of could have a shoes like this. So let's try to do that. Because though we had, because my point is, as long as you understand the the proportion, basic proportion of the shoes, you don't necessarily need to see all the side of you, because you are designer too. Even you cannot you imagine certain details, you can make it up. So we are going to draw from the bottom, although we cannot see what exactly in the bottom, but we still, I'm confident we still be able to draw these shoes from the bottom up, as long as we have all the grid. So let's have a grid. It's converging down. It's converging down. Okay, it's converging a lot. So make sure these two converging to that side and these two converging to the side. Once you see the bottom, so it's very easy to remember. You see the top plane, then it's converging up. If you want to see the bottom, sometime Let's see if we would want to draw the bottom. We want to see the bottom of the speaker. So we want to see the bottom. So that's converging down. It's converging down, and okay, it's very important that we find a plane, the middle line. The middle line, and it goes the same reason when we, because this point is supposed to close to us. So when we divided this middle point, I always exaggerate it a little, make this is longer and this is shorter. So that is almost kind of the central line from a perspective. And then we have to have them rising up. Why I use those lines? Because this is a different, it's a 3-point perspective. It's supposed all converging at some point. It would be nice to have those lines kind of lying around. But when you draw this line, to make sure it's kind of keep it very light, because we don't necessarily need those lines eventually at the end. So keep it, all the construction lines very light. And also, this is how it is coming up. And highly encouraged to draw all those invisible lines. Why? Because it helps us to my brain froze. Help us to adjust, you know, if we structure correct, help us to understand, adjust, or verify. Help us to verify. So that is a box. So this is the bottom, and then this is the top. I don't want to enhance them, so it will be very clear, because later we're going to have a lot of grid. So there will be a lot of lines. So, and it's too much. If this is the first grid, find the middle point. Middle point. This will be the second grid, and third. Just estimate, because it will be because of foreshortening, it will be became shorter and shorter. And but I do believe sometimes I made mistake too. So we have how many? 1, 2, 3. I want to write it on another side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4, 5. And I understand that we need a 5.5. Just imagine there's another grid somewhere here. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So let's draw that plane. And the narrowest part, so between this, the third, this will be the narrowest part. So after that, it's kind of coming out a little, and then coming in. That will be the bottom of the shoes. Bottom of the shoes. And where it goes to the first one, and then it's coming back, which is the peak here. On this side, the widest part, the second line. So it's different. For the another side, it's kind of reached this point. So, and for this part, it's almost there. It will be something like this. Those curves, put those curves in perspective, put those so in perspective, it's almost something like this. I know it's not accurate right now because we haven't have it rising up. If you want to rising up, then the so need to reach one grid up. One grid up. What is one grid up? Let's estimate it. Probably will be somewhere here. One grid. This is the point. And then that actually, so probably would looks like something like this. And also from this side, it will be rising up a little. But anyway, that is just what it's gonna looks like from the bottom. From the bottom. From the bottom. And although that's not some angle we're familiar with, this is trusted grid so far. And the same thing. And the highest point will be in the middle of the fourth grid. This is the fourth grid in the middle. Let's find the highest point. Find the highest point and rising up. It's need to follow all those 3 points, you know, those guidelines. It's needed converging the same pace with all of them. Usually I would use some line close to them, closer to it. So that was the direction. So how we define the height? The height is about 1 grid second, because we use a reference line is close to us. It's close to us. 1 grid is almost, oh my God, it's very narrow. 1 grid, 1 grid. This is almost 1 grid. Okay, 1 grid, I got it too much. This is almost 1 grid. This is second grid. So that will be the highest point. So for that opening, you have this flat line on this opening where it goes. You need to follow all those grids, right? Those grids where is the guidelines. So they are all converging to that point. So for the opening, the highest point will be somewhere here. Somewhere here. It's somewhere here, but those lines, you need to keep this in mind. It will go to that direction. And but that is for the highest point. For the highest points, you can also use a central line guideline, and if the same height, it definitely will rest. If the rest of them on the same height, it would definitely rest here. But actually it's not. So let's find another plane. Where is the lowest point? Where the lowest point will be behind the fourth grid. This will be the lowest point. So this is number 4. And we are going to use this line, this is the number 4. And we are going to coming up a little and having this line coming up a little to draw this plane. And if this plane as higher as this one, it need to be somewhere here. But that opening need to be much lower, almost 1 grid lower than this height. It need to be here. And when you, actually I almost got it right. So now it's become very odd. Now it's become very odd. The lowest point actually will be that plane. I hope you all can see this plane. Will be somewhere here. So the highest point here, it's very close to that one. Is that right? I bet it's right. That's we use grid. That's how we define. And also this one, now we're going to start and draw the back. And then, like I said before, the back, the shoes, it's coming in a lot. It's coming in a lot. This is the middle plane. Let's have this coming in first. Come in. Let's find a curve on the middle plane. And again, the back of the shoe, if as higher at this point, it will be here because this is the central plane. We converge. It will be here, but in lower, drop it. Drop it. Okay. Now, this is the highest point. In the back, in the front, in the back, just 2 red dots. 2 red dots is the lowest point. Imagination again. Then normally we were connecting something like this. We were connecting them with something like this. Usually. Is that right? But in this case, that opening is kind of coming forward a little, and then it's coming down, and then it's coming up a little, and go all the way to the top. Go all the way to the top. From this side, I would bet it's almost the same as from the angle we picked. I would say it's almost flat because it would seem almost flat. We only able to adjust why it's almost flat because we look at it that from the bottom, so there's not much change. So this is all invisible line. We cannot really see them, but we will understand that those invisible line will be something like this. So now we define the opening from the bottom up. Let's see if we can really finish them. That is not easy, I have to tell you. From the bottom up, it's not easier. And also this is the soul, we already have it coming up a little, and then we need to connect this central point to see how it goes. It probably goes that way, probably goes that way. But those lines here, you cannot see them because it was blocked. The view, your view was blocked by this one. But now we need to use imagination to close this top surface. Close this top surface. Because you see it, you kind of, right now you look from the bottom, and we do need imagination. This is the bottom, the soul, and it will be easy started from to add the volume of the soul itself. Let's just imagine add this volume of the soul itself. So that basically constructed the soul, the volume of the soul, and then so the top surface, this is the central point. You can see a little from the back. You can see a little from the back, and also be able to see a little so the kind of stuff from the back. And if this is the top view, I exaggerate more to make it more clear. So for this top, we just imagine there's another plane to create the value. So we need to add some value on the side. I don't know if you can see, but I feel it's probably almost could be there. Now later you just need to add all those details. Like here you have a little volume about the logo we have. The logo we have. You see the logo, and there's some details. You can add some details from the top, and also there's another detail here, and that's how you connect it together, and that's how it accrued. That's also how it accrued, and from here you cannot see too much. If the lights from the left corner, and then now from this area it's kind of starting curling back, and also this corner you cannot see much, it's very dark, and later it's coming in. So, and also from the bottom, it must be a lot of detail there, and then you just need to use a little imagination how to draw those details. That's whatever you want to draw, you always follow those guidelines. Let's say let's divide it in the bottom, they also divided the space, then you always follow those guidelines we have here, and then have them evenly divided on both sides. And maybe there's another okay space here, but whatever. And then you probably would have something in the middle. You probably would have the logo of this brand, and whatever happens here, you just keep so the guideline we used here. Added some details. So the details always follows all those guidelines, like make it a symmetrically located on each side, or not. You don't have to be symmetrical. But anyway, that is basically what you're gonna see from the bottom. Why we cannot see much from this side? Because we looking from the bottom, so we cannot see much on the top plane. We cannot see the top plane. We're only able to see the side plane. We're only able to see the side plane. So that is about what it looks like. This shoes from the bottom. So now all you need to do later, just need to add more details. Once you have all those details in, then you enhance the line you need, and then you want to have your drawing pop up a little. So that's it, how to draw a shoes. Yeah, I do feel this a little off here, and maybe this part, even with this label, and actually this is very high from the image we have. It's kind of high and tall, maybe not that much. Maybe not that much, but still it's tall. Yeah. Okay, since I'm doing demo, I have too much lines here. Usually we need to control our line weights at the beginning. And if you have those lines also a different plane, it will help us to understand the structure better. Understand the structure better. It's a little off here. Probably I will use this one. Cut it off. And enhance the line at the bottom. Usually I'll use a color pencil to enhance them. But anyway, that's it. How we use a guide line or the reference point to structure shoes.